Hi everybody, it's Jewels by Jude and we are going to make a Natasha bead, and I have no idea how it's going to come out, but we are going to give it a good shot. Natasha beads are unpredictable. You do not know how they're going to come out, but somehow they always turn out beautiful. Here's an example of one I did a little earlier. See all those colors? Beautiful. You can pick your colors, twist them up and round them around like a little snake, something like, let me see here, something like this. Line them up, circle, twist, twist, So you can pre-plan. This is not pre-planned. That means, well, this is a good solid green, I'm going to admit. But the rest of this was from a cane that I had done, the end of a cane, and it had some different colors in it. And I picked it for the Natasha bead video so that you could see all of the drastic colors. Okay? In videos, it's easier to see that. And it's easier to understand and distinguish between different parts of the videos. It's easier for you. It may not match anything I own. Sometimes it doesn't matter anyway. I wear my jewelry. Oh, I don't have any on at all. Shame on me. But it'll be attractive, I believe it will be. It'll be awesome. So I'd have to wear probably some kind of green color based on this, and maybe a blue that it might match with. And I don't want to make this too big because I have a tendency to make these canes too big, and I end up with chunky beads. So here you go. It's the beginning of it. I know. It looks kind of funny, doesn't it? Once you get all of it chopped up and rolled up like I just showed you, you want to twist it a little bit. You're going to twist those colors inside that cane. And you might want to do it once or twice. The more you twist, the finer the design might be. And that's really a technique you need to learn as you go, I would say. And it's also a preference as well. So when you're using the clay and you're thinking about this, some of these type of canes and whatnot, you'll know what your preferences are as you go. The one good thing about this type of medium that I am using now, which is polymer clay, is that how you can use it in so many different ways. It's very hard to mess anything up because you can stamp it, you can use it for a bead, it doesn't dry. I mean, unlike some of the other things that you can make mistakes with, or if you want to call them mistakes, with those things, it's done. You can't use it, or you have to get rid of it in another way, shape, or form, which is what we're doing here. But it's more difficult. This is simply easy. You can use this clay over and over again, change the colors, change the design, change the shape, and it's still working until you bake it. And then you have a few issues you can really screw up if you want. It's hard to screw up. So now I have this. I don't know at all how this is going to turn out. It's got a lot of white in it. That's another thing. If it starts to turn out like I need a little bit of this color, or I need a little bit of that color, you can change that by just adding. This is not going to probably be a really fine design. based on I can see there's a lot of space between the colors. But you never know. You really don't know. This is like PBO paint, where you pour it out and it reacts to itself. This isn't quite doing that, but you just don't know till you cut it open. And PBO paint kind of reacts to itself, and you can try to do as many designs as you possibly can, and it turns out it's going to do what it wants. This kind of does do that because your twists and turns and your colors, it has a tendency to kind of do what it wants, and you can change it. The worst case scenario with something like this is you make it for, this is the worst would be and this is not bad, would be the inside of a bead. And that would be that you rolled up your clay, it came out, really don't have anything like that. Oh, here you go, something a little bit more solid like this color. And you would roll it up, make it a bead, and put a veneer over top of it. That's your worst case, unless you bake it and it burns and breaks or something like that. Then that I guess would be your worst case. But while you're working with it, you can't really do anything wrong with it. You can change the formation of it so many times. Sometimes it gets a little dried out, or it gets too soft, and even in those cases, stick it in the refrigerator, you leach it on a piece of paper, stuff like that. I have a bad habit at this point of not telling everybody what I'm using. What I used was scrap, tissue blade. I'm using copy paper. And this is my baking sheet for my toaster oven. Let's see, I might use my roller, and I'm going to use my straw for a hole. I'm getting some new cutters in today that have real small cutting holes. They're circles. And I'm not even using the polymer clay pasta machine, clay machine today. Don't need it. I suppose you could use it, but I am reducing this. Reducing is, if you don't already know, is something similar to squishing and spreading out the clay. And the reason why I'm doing that is I have a tendency to make my beads way too large, and I don't want that to happen in this case. So, what I am going to do is, I want to varnish a little bit. I feel like there's some lumps in this for some reason, so I'm going to do something, and I don't have my brick, my plastic brick that I went across. I could do it with the roller, so, but I can also do it the way I'm doing it, so I'm just going to keep doing it. It feels like it's working. And really, I just want this to be a little bit more smooth. So I'm kind of varnishing it right now before I've even cut it and placed it together. A Natasha bead is very beautiful and dramatic most of the time. I would suppose the woman's name was Natasha, who made this bead famous. Thought of it, named it. It's a mirror image of itself. It's cool as heck. At least I think it is. I think a lot of people do. Alright, so I'm going to cut it now. Help me. Alright. Which one of these is the stronger one? Almost about the same. Clay is soft. Ideally, you don't want it soft. Okay? Right now I'm cutting it in half because I did this early and it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. Now I just need to choose, by no means on how I think it might look, maybe what it has more or less colors in it. I'm gonna go with this one. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do, or what I normally would do, is let this sit, okay? And that is why sometimes your pieces won't come out the way you want them to come out. You don't let it sit. Or cool it off in the fridge. Okay, I'm looking for a pretty even cut here, and it's hard to tell when you're videotaping, so I'm going to work this through in this fashion so that it hopefully won't bend too much inward, and that would be this side and this side moving in. And believe it or not, it can actually come in from the bottom. So when you're working with extremely soft clay, it's advisable that you rock it as much as possible to make it go through. Now, what you want to do here is line these up. Now, unfortunately, I have a thicker right side. So I'm going to do is, there's a way of fixing, you know, helping that along. Okay. But mostly what you want to concentrate on right this moment is lining up those patterns to look like a mirror. Okay. And slightly squeezing those together, because you do not want to distort the pattern. Okay. Now, after that, I'm using my good eye, which is my glasses. I have contacts. I don't like the way that's not much. There we go. See how I just blended that a little bit with my finger? I don't want to do it. I don't want to varnish it until it's connecting. I want to make sure that I'm connected at the locations on the design that mirror the other side. And as I said, I already told you that I had the one side, it's this side that's bigger. Now, at this time, my only solution to that issue is the pressing down of the bead by varnishing. And hopefully that will come out a little bit better than it is right now. But you can't, it looks really good right now. Really, I mean, not anything I can say bad about it. I think I have my stamps over there. I'm gonna try to get this as even as possible. A little uneven over here. You know, when you're videotaping, you gotta kind of cross your fingers and hope it works out for your audience. When you're doing it by yourself, you just say, oh, but if it messes up, it messes up. In this case, if it messes up, I gotta redo the video. And I'm on video too, by the way. All right. There we go. There we are. There's a lot of sanding you can do too. I know. Who is it? Susan hates sanding. I'm not particularly fond of it myself, but I will do it. I have some sanding items. Oh, I can feel that turning in a little. And you can see it right there. Let's see if I can varnish that out. Now, you know, this might not be my best example, but it certainly is my boldest at this point. And as new as I am to polymer clay and making my YouTube videos, it'll probably turn out pretty well, all things considered. And as I said, the colors are beautifully distinguishable. And I like that about it. Now, what do you do here? Well, there's about 60 million things you can do. No, not quite that many. That's what you got. You can make it smaller. There's a back there. I don't want to varnish that out. So what I'll probably do is possibly smooth it a little. And the reason why I don't want to varnish it out is last time I varnished it out, there's a lot, I mean, this is a lot of experimenting, and I'm sure there's ways, professional ways of working with some of this, but, and I'm using some of them, but I don't want to have to start this bead over when I enjoy it. It looks like 3 hearts to me, almost. 1, 2, and a very strange 3. I love it. I love it a lot. Color-wise, I'd have to, like I said, wear something plain. Either a green shirt or white or a couple other colors. There's some blues in here. Now, I do like the elongated pendant. And it does seem to be a little bit thicker here. So, like that. What I might do is take my straw that I now have, because I can see them, my husband brought them in. I know you guys do a lot of mail openings. I bought a set of no brand stamps. Cutters, I'm sorry, cutters. Apologize for that. Still learning the lingo. And, but you can use straw. You don't need a special cutter to do a hole. Because what I'm going to do is feed my parachute cord through the top. I just don't know where I want. If I want to cut some more of this off, I think I do. I'm not liking that too much. It's too much green, too much solid, not enough. There we go. There we go. You see the 2 red marks coming off there, and I still have my heart looking. I like that better. So what I'm going to do now is try to find the center here. I want to figure out how far down. It's a thicker bead, so I don't want the top to be too thin. And I'm going to run that parachute through there. I think this is appropriate. Now what I'm going to do is just, you know, if you feel like you've offset it too, what you can always do is embellish on that section of the bead. Now they call this a bead, I call it a pendant. And what I'll do after I bake it is I will sand it and create myself rounding off the edges here and here. But this is something that you'll be familiar with if you're doing something like this. This is not a beginner bead, so you will know that even though it is an easy bead to do, in my opinion, it's very beautiful, and you usually don't start off with that. Sometimes I might do this. Sometimes you can come down like this with your beads before you bake them and round off your edges a little bit to change the design. Maybe we'll do that. Just pushing up, so you want to push back down. And you still want to try to mirror the bead, the design. And I think for the most part we're at that point there. Let's see, yeah, we are. I like it. And you know, that's all that matters. That I like it, and the only thing that's going to matter is that you like it. So what I will do with this is bake it, and I'll bake it for 200 degrees for probably 45 minutes. It's a thicker bead, and I will put it in cold, and I will take it out cold, and I will evaluate it at that time. Do a slip knot through the center after I sand it, glaze it. Probably glaze it with Sculpey glaze. Sometimes I use polyurethane for that process. I use different types of glaze. Sometimes I dome it with Lisa's Dome UV, and there's also a resin 2-part that I rarely use that. But I might start. It's an ice one, and I'd like to start using that. If you like this video, like it, subscribe, and share it. I'm new, I'm starting out, I'm learning from all of the beautiful, wonderful women and men that are out there doing the same thing as I'm doing. And thank you. Good luck and God bless.